Hi everyone, welcome to Talk Danger Zone Jobs, the overseas contracting show. I'm William Beaver, editor-in-chief and founder of DangerZoneJobs.com, and I want to thank everybody that's been sending in ideas for shows, questions to be answered, and all the interesting feedback that I've been getting. I really appreciate it, and please continue to do so, and I'll eventually get to your questions on this show. And today, I want to continue on the path of trying to find a balance between people that are new to the industry and experienced contractors, and be able to provide information that's useful to both. Today's question is about, how do I stand out? How do I have an edge, especially when it comes to finding contracting jobs? In my office, I have a picture on the wall that I keep there to remind me of how Danger Zone Jobs started. It's a picture that shows 5 other contractors sitting around a poker table. And this poker game evolved during the whole time I was over in Kuwait, which was from 1992 to about 2008. And people would come in and out of this poker game. And it was from that group of contractors that I eventually came up with the idea for Danger Zone Jobs, because I kept hearing them talk about how difficult it was to find job information. But in the context of today's show, there was something else going on at that poker game that I think is very important. Contracting is a small community in my mind. It's a place where a lot of people move around to different companies. They work with lots of different people, and I would listen to these guys talking about how they knew so-and-so that had originally been working for KBR and now he's working for CSA or something like that. And the people that they were talking about were people that they remembered for reasons that were either good or bad, something about the person. And this is kind of what people are trying to talk about when they say, how do I stand out? How do I be remembered? Well, in my mind, you have 2 parts to this question. The first is, when I'm applying for a job, how can I be noticed? How can I stand out? These days, you have to be actually planning ahead for being noticed by 2 things. First is being noticed by software, and then hopefully you're noticed by a human being, a recruiter, a company representative. The second part of it is you want to be remembered when somebody's looking for a candidate for a job before they even post it. What I'd like you to do for just a second is try to remember a stranger that sat next to you maybe in a restaurant or on a plane or someplace like that. Somebody that you talked to, maybe got to know a little bit. And ask yourself, why do you remember them? Is it something they did that's good? Something they did that's bad? Was it something about their personality? Did they come across, maybe they were genuine and authentic? They were interested in you as a person? Or maybe there was something about them you didn't trust, something that made your BS detector go crazy? But think about that, because every time you're talking to somebody, they're forming an opinion about you. And part of the task that you have in order to stand out is try to influence what it is that they're remembering about you. Part of the problem is there's a couple of big misconceptions, especially in contracting, about what it means to stand out. All the time you'll hear somebody saying, if I could get a recruiter's name or email address, then I'd be set. I'd have the edge I need. If you go on forums, you see that all the time. People saying, does anybody have a recruiter's name from company X? Well, that's not enough. Just having a recruiter's name. Here, let me give you a big secret. You want a recruiter's name? Go on LinkedIn, type in the company that you're interested in, and type in recruiter, and you'll have all the recruiter addresses you want. It's not a secret. But that's just the beginning. The other thing is, you see a lot of people in contracting talking about, I can get around the job search process because I'm experienced and I know how the industry works and I can somehow circumvent the system. You got to think in terms of what standing out means. You stand out to someone else. As I said, you stand out to software, but we're primarily concerned about people. Standing out to a recruiter means that you're someone who's worth risking more of the company, or in the case, the recruiter's time, in the job search process. You're a potential solution to their problem. That's how you stand out. So basically, it comes down to 2 things. Stand out by getting the basics right. And I mean all the basics. First of all, your approach to the job search. You have to be professional. You have to be realistic and understand what's involved. You have to fit the system. You can't make the system try and fit you. It doesn't work like that. You want to be able to give that recruiter no reason to resist you as a potential candidate. You want them to look at you and say, okay, this guy's a serious contender for what we're looking for. Secondly, your resume and other documents. You have to approach it that in order to stand out, I have to get everything about resumes, documents, cover letters, all that stuff. You have to get it absolutely right. There's no space for mistakes. That means things like formatting and grammar, what you leave in, what you take out. All the things that go into putting that together have to be correct if you want to stand out, because that's just the ticket to get in the game. It's not even anything spectacular. You can also impact this by the choice of jobs that you go after. It doesn't make any sense to go after jobs that you can't show that you're qualified for. You might get them. You might somehow luck into something that you're not qualified for, but to stand out, you need to take away all the possibilities of somebody rejecting you. You don't have the basic criteria, whatever. An extension of that is you can help yourself stand out by the companies that you go after. It doesn't make any sense, again, to go after companies that require things that you don't have. You're just wasting your time and their time. You've got to stand out for a specific job by being well qualified for that job and being able to prove it. Think in terms of telling a story. You're trying to get a job. The story is you fit the job that's being offered. You have to be able to tell the recruiter in all the things that you do and say, all your background, all your actions trying to apply for the job, that you're the ideal candidate for that job. So everything about what you do is part of that story. And that leads to the second way of standing out by word of mouth. You should be constantly networking, but at the same time, you're building a brand. Now, let's not get too hung up on what building a brand means. Basically, think of it like this. How do you make yourself memorable to other people? If I were to say to you, does someone know you, like you, and trust you? Would you be able to answer that positively? You have to make yourself memorable to your network. And it's not enough to be Joe Smith. In the context of finding contracting jobs, you want to be remembered as Joe Smith, the generator guy. For example, if I said to you, Volvo, you might come back with the word safety. Or if I said Honda, you might come back with reliability. The idea is to make people remember you for something specific, which means that by definition, you'll have to be thought of as a specialist, not a generalist. I get resumes all the time with lots of different job fields. And that doesn't really do you any good because in the story, it looks like you don't have a lot of experience in something specific. So when you put your resume together, for example, what you have to do is leave out a lot of the things that are in your background on your resume that don't have anything to do with the story you're trying to tell. So just to wrap this up and sort of summarize it, first you need to make sure that all your pieces and parts of the job search process are correct. Make sure that everything that you need is there, ready to go. Your resume is written properly. Your documents are up to date and ready to be submitted. And also the companies and jobs that you go after actually fit what you do so that you can have a chance at standing out in that particular area. Which means that secondly, you need to choose what you want to be remembered for. And then you always look for ways to reinforce that. Basically, what you want to do from right now, from today, is don't be Joe the contractor. Be Joe the generator expert. Start to reinforce that in your network's minds that whatever it is that you do, you're the best at. You have lots of ways of showing that you're the best at it. Be someone that people know, like, and trust, but specific to what it is that you want to do. This is William Beaver. I look forward to our next episode. And remember, if you have any suggestions or questions that you would like answered on the program, please send them to me at editor@dangerzonejobs.com.